Hello and welcome to Funny Mummies, the podcast for people that hate parenting podcasts. I'm Hatty Ashdown, comedian and writer, and I'm blessed with two lively boys. Each show I'm joined by funny mummies from the world of comedy, but also those that are aunties or friends, because let's be honest, we all need the help of our non-tired mates. Join us as we find the funny side of parenting, life, and being bloody great women.
Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day to you! Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day! Happy Mother's Day to you!
Hello, you're listening to the Funny Mummies, another episode with me, your host Hatty Ashdown, and of course my co-host Gemma Beagley.
Hello.
The one who shall not be photographed. I want to put it on here as well as in the comments because I've not yet had anyone, but I imagine people going, oh, why haven't you got her in the photographs?
I'm an enigma.
You want to be an enigma.
An anonymous enigma.
And basically be like the cool, silent one.
Yeah, I want to be like the Simon Fuller, but without the bullying, exploitative aspect of him.
So you say. So, joining us today, we've got a guest. Yes, it's not just us. She's an award-winning comedian, squirrel impersonator, and parent.
That's a really good impersonation.
Wait, what?
You may. She's looking at me confused, but it will all come back in a minute. You may remember her pregnant on Live at the Apollo. Yeah, you would have seen her on all the panel shows. She's especially good at that one it's like charades with Sarah Pascoe. Guessable, I think it's called, isn't it? She's done over 5 Edinburgh shows and was recently on Mastermind. And so let's find out what this guest is master at. She's also mother of one, flavour of girl. It's Harriet Kemsley.
Hello, what an introduction.
I think that might be one of my weirdest ones.
Yeah. Not all of it was true, and that was what I really appreciated. I've never had an introduction where I haven't known a lot of what's being said about me. So, yeah, I appreciate that.
I was like, I'm going to just throw it about a bit today and guess which thing is not true. But didn't you do a squirrel impersonation on that Guessable? Or maybe I got it wrong.
It
was a
maybe.
clip that was going around and it was I couldn't stop watching it.
Oh,
it was so
yeah, when I
funny.
rolled on the ground, maybe, yeah.
And
That was just a tiny moment of my life. I think that's why I was confused that it was built up as one of the
It's 100% of Harriet Kemsley content that other people... You know, the squirrel girl. The squirrel girl. Was it a squirrel?
But it was awful, squirrel impersonation.
Yeah, this is the thing. I'm very bad at it. Yeah, so maybe I didn't even know I was
But
meant to
then
be a
what
squirrel.
would you do for a squirrel impersonation? It's
Eddie Izzard does a remarkable squirrel impersonation.
So welcome to the Funny
Hello.
Mummies. At last, we've got you, because we've been trying to get you on the show for a while, haven't we?
I know, I'm excited. It's happening.
Already. So before we get on to why you wanted to talk about, because we like to ask our guests anything that might be annoying them or making them happy. Strangely, Gemma, it's never something that's making them happy, is it really?
Who wants to tune in to listen to someone talk about how wonderful their life is?
And you wanted to talk about trusting others with your baby. And I thought, oh, that's a good one. So I thought, just to warm us up, quick quiz about... it's a bit like snog, marry, avoid, but think of childcare. Right, out of Mary Poppins, Mrs. Doubtfire and Super Nanny, who would you leave your kid with at short notice?
Snog, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay, we're confused by the game.
Okay, right.
You snog her, then you hand over the baby.
Yeah.
Who would you get to pick up from nursery? As in, they've never met this person before.
Yeah.
But they go, oh, here, so-and-so to pick you up.
Probably Mrs. Doubtfire. I think she has the most Bobby energy.
Oh, that's true.
So I think maybe would just be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, Daddy's here.
Yeah, Daddy's here in a dress.
Yeah.
That'd be it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And who would you have as a permanent live-in nanny?
Mary Poppins. I think I need her in my life to help. Yeah.
Spoonful of sugar.
Yeah.
And this is the next one. Who would you mind Bobby getting off with?
Or 3. Yeah, go for it, Bobby. Have a great time.
There's always that, isn't there? That they might get off with the
Actually, if it's
nanny.
all 3 having some kind of orgy, then that's kind of worse for everyone. I think that is an image no one wants to imagine.
I can't imagine Mary Poppins
Going for Bobby.
No, having an orgy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Super nanny. Oh yeah.
Oh,
she's
yes.
up for it.
Yeah.
Buxom. She'd definitely be up for it.
I mean, it's funny how that was all the fashion for a while, wasn't it? Oh, super nanny knows how to, and I feel like her ways have sort of crept, I might be wrong, have crept away a bit. I mean, you don't hear about her, and I wonder whether now some of her sort of teachings would be seen as a bit strict. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was her that introduced the naughty step, right?
Yeah, which
that made it, it was kind of made it quite the thing.
And now you're not really meant to say naughty step. This is the whole like gentle parenting type thing. It's all meant to be like time out step, or even one thing I was finding was time in. Oh God,
what's time in?
I don't know.
They come and you go out. That sounds like a great idea. Joe Frost at Super Nanny used to do that. If a kid was having a meltdown, she would lock them in the bedroom, and she'd be holding the handle, so they couldn't get out until they'd calm down.
Yeah,
she'd be like, "I'm not opening this door until you calm down." And you know what? And she has got some staying power. That woman. She'd be there for hours.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's easy when it's someone else's kid, maybe to lock them in a room.
Yes. When I think of her, I think about it was that resilience of like taking them back all the time, whether it was going on the naughty step, whether it was staying in bed. Her thing was like, if they've moved away, she would, don't talk to them, don't look at them in the eye, and just keep taking them back. And we did do a little bit of that, but
well, you won as well. The book that I threw in the
Gina
bin.
Ford.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across Gina Ford?
No, I have heard about it, I think, yeah. I mean, I think all of this is quite similar to how you're meant to train a dog.
Is it?
I think it
Because you've
works
got a dog as well.
dogs.
I should have said that in your intro, sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. No, you prioritise the important stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think with the cry it out thing, we did that a tiny bit. Like, I didn't want to do it. And then she was waking up every hour. And then it was, she couldn't teach herself to go back to sleep, and then
how old are we talking?
I think like maybe 9 months or something. And then Bobby was like, I'm gonna do it. And the first time she cried for like half an hour, and I was like sobbing as well, and it was awful. And the second time it was like 10 minutes, and the third time it was like 2 minutes, and then now she sleeps through the night. And I think the waking up every hour, I mean, touch wood, I mean, it depends on the night, but mainly she can put herself back to sleep, and it was a skill that she didn't have, and it had become a habit, I think, waking up every hour. And
yes, so you had
to try and break the habit. Was good, but it is horrible when they're upset. But also, I think she would be upset and she'd cry, and then she'd just kind of stop crying, and she'd go, she'd literally watch her in the monitor, she'd go like, nah. She'd shrug her shoulders and she'd lie down and go to sleep. So it was like she tried it, and then she's like, nah, fuck this, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Coming.
So I'll just sleep.
I hate that. No one's coming.
Yeah.
You can't bear it.
No, I always did think that. And then my friend was like, when you're driving and they're in the back, they cry. It's the same thing. They want attention. True. And then when you don't give them attention, they go to sleep. Like, it's not that they necessarily think that they're abandoned, I think, or that they're alone. I know, it is horrible. And if I think about it too much, it's awful. But then I was like, if I don't sleep and she doesn't sleep, and we're up every hour, then we're going to all be miserable.
She wants to sleep.
Yeah, that was it. And she wants to, and now she can.
There's always different methods, isn't there? The kind of like having them on you all the time, so that, a lot of people would do that sort of co-sleeping, so that the minute they cried, you're there to soothe. And great, if that works for you. But I just think that sort of goes back to cave times for me, when women would have the baby strapped to them all the time while they're doing all their different work. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when we don't live in those times, we've got cars, and they're sat in the back of the cars, and we need to sleep as well.
Because as you know, I co-slept, and it was just because I just couldn't be doing with the lack of sleeping. So, but it took a long time to get Al out of my bed, a long time. And I knew at the time, I was just like, I'm going to rue the day. But, he's now 8, and it's, he hasn't
teen and he's still in your bed.
Exactly. No, it's fine. We've got a big bed. But what was I going to say about the strapping? When I spent some time in Tanzania, and so kids would be born, and they would be, carried in a sling all day by the mothers. You would not hear a baby cry unless they were sick.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't cry. And then I think by the time they're 2, they kind of have this confidence, and so they're not clingy. They're just like, right, okay. And that's just how children are raised. But then they're also raised by villages of women. So it's a little bit...
It takes a village.
It takes a
village.
village.
I know.
Trusting others with your baby. Has anything happened recently, Harriet, or is this just a general thing you've always had since she was born?
It's like, so quite early on we had to get childcare because I went back to work quite quickly. And it's, to be honest, it's been really good. Like the first babysitter we ever got, like, she was like training to be a human rights lawyer. Like we used this app Bubble, and you could see that they'd had like hundreds of sits, all with like 5-star ratings. But I'm trying to live a little bit like a dad, like to parent like a mum, I think, but then be like, I want to live a life and do things like a dad, and try and not feel guilty, have this like mum guilt that everyone talks about. Because it's
banned on this show. We don't say that word.
That's good, because I don't know, like I keep thinking like, how would I want her to grow up? And like I would want her to grow up doing things, and like if she has a kid, I'll look after her kid so that she's inspired to go and do things. I don't want her to feel that she can't do stuff. But then with that, you have to trust other people, and then that is really horrible. And like sometimes it's easier like trusting my mum or something, because my mum like raised 3 kids, and then with Bobby it can feel like really scary, even though sometimes he will know more than me. It's just hard. Like you just feel like like because they came from you, you feel like you know, even though that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, that's that. I've never thought about that. Mum knows best, but actually, is it because they came from you that you just no, I know what's best for them, and I can kind of
you maybe have a connection from the beginning.
You're listening to the Funny Mummy podcast.
Yay!
Now can I go back?
Yeah. So at the moment, what's your support network, as they say? So obviously you both gig, and you used to take her with you sometimes, didn't you?
Yeah, so when she was which in hindsight was mad, but like when she was like a month old, we'd take her to like comedy clubs, and like one of us would open and one of us would close, and like I think I was just so worried.
She'd do the middle spot.
She'd do the middle spot. She'd have type 10 in the middle. Yeah.
Come on.
And it just, I think I was so worried about going back to work afterwards, and that I wouldn't want to, and that I would feel like, and the longer I'd be out of it, the harder it would be to go back. And so I was like, and also you got to make money, like you're freelance and you got to go back to work. And so I was like, the sooner I do it, the better. And we're really lucky, like it's my job, I can pick and choose, like it's really lucky. It's not having to spend hours away. Like I can bring her, I can go for a couple of hours. Like that's a really privileged position. And so I tried to use it, but it was a bit insane. We'd bring her like into Soho, and like one night Bobby like took her for a walk in like the middle of the night around Soho, and like I think people thought he'd stolen a baby. So I don't know if I'd recommend it.
But if you Google her husband Bobby Mayer, you will know what she means as nice as possible.
And so it was a bit wild, but it was like so that was a really good thing. And then we started to use babysitters, and now she goes to nursery 3 days a week, and like, but it's just, I don't know, you just every time you just like have a moment where you just like feel sick, and it's just really hard. And I keep doing it, like I'm doing it like maybe more than others in a way, but it's just really hard not to feel sick about it.
Because I remember in my NCT, there'd be various of people. There would be the people that were straight back to work, or some that would like not left their baby for 2 years or whatever. Gemma, what was it? Did you have any problems leaving Al?
In the beginning, I didn't actually, and spoke about the childminder that I had. She was just fantastic. She was brilliant, and so
are we talking small baby?
Yeah, 5 months. I think he was 5 months when I went back to work, because I just hated being the mother of a baby. I just couldn't bear it.
Full time.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's too much. Having the in between is really good. Yeah.
So, I never had a problem leaving leaving him with her, but he was not a confident kid.
Right.
You know, so I'll say he would not be left, but he would scream. He would absolutely scream like he's been snatched if leaving him with babysitters and all this stuff. And I don't think I didn't persist very well because I can't bear the crying. I can't.
Yeah,
like, I can't. Like my heart is like.
We're
it's,
tuned
you know,
though, but we are tuned to respond to that cry.
Yeah, but it's like because Bobby can just be doing things and having a conversation. I'm like, she's crying. I can't do anything until we stop the crying. Like it's like an immediate thing. Whereas that noise is like just lift music or something to him. Like he's not affected. I don't know.
So for me, it was just like we didn't, and then subsequently I didn't leave him, and then now me and his dad are separated now, and I kind of I still get a bit there's some problems with his dad, and so it's I do struggle to hand him over.
Yeah,
but
I think, am I fair in saying you've enjoyed him much more older than as a baby?
Oh God, yeah.
So now he's his own little person.
He is,
and you miss them.
Oh my God,
and it's a different missing than when they're a baby.
Yeah,
like you actually start
miss the person.
Miss the person, and you enjoy their company. That sounds like a mad thing to say, but you sort of do, don't you? And
what I was saying to Hattie yesterday. So my son was away for 9 nights that turned into 11. Anyway, and we've never been apart that long. And I was like, oh, great, I can go out and stuff. So I've got no childcare to have to arrange. But I wasn't fully there. Like I went out every single night having dinner, stayed to watch shows and stuff. But I just my heart wasn't in it because it was somewhere else. It was my, I knew that Al I wasn't going to see Al later. It's kind of. It's kind of nice. It's kind of pleasant in a way, like when you get heartburn. It's like a little bit of a kind of. I enjoyed that curry. I enjoyed that curry. It's a nice warmth, but it is also painful,
Going back to when they was babies, I think it maybe had something to do with the fact you were saying about Al. My oldest, I don't know why, but he was so fine to be handed over.
Yeah.
So obviously that helps.
Yeah.
But I was like, people would tell me that. Oh, they go, it's a sign of confidence. It means feels very secure in you.
Yeah, yeah.
So fast forward to 7 years later, he's been diagnosed with autistic and ADHD. So it probably was something because he's just he goes with what's going on. Okay, I'm doing this now. Do you know what I mean? And we always thought, God, he's so confident. Do you know what I mean? And he still is. He's still like that. He's absolutely fine for anyone new to come round. And he's like, hi, and he's just like,
welcome.
Yeah. He has the best reactions, honestly. He's so cute. It's like, wow, Mummy, I like your hair. Today he's like blowing me a kiss. There's a little heart sign and he goes, have the best day and all this. But you can also be a little shit, of course. But I was fine. I think, I was, and I shouldn't have to say lucky, but my husband had quite a lot of time off, so that was great when he was first born, and so he knew the routine. And like you say, like I could stress out different things, but he was the calmer one. So I think when I did then go out, I don't remember feeling too bad. I remember sort of going away for a weekend and having to pump and all that.
Yeah, it is rough, yeah.
I went for like a spa weekend, and so you're in the hot steam room, and you're like, "I'm sorry, girls, I've got to go and pump," because the steam would just set off the boobs. But then fast forward to Edinburgh last year, and now they're older and stuff. I couldn't believe stuff. People were like, "Oh my God, you're gonna have the best time," because the plan was I'd do about 4 or 5 days on my own, then they'd come up and then they'd go back. So I said to my husband, like, come for the rest of it, but he was like, no, I think 9 days is enough for them, like, and I was like, oh, okay, but I was thinking of him as well, like, to get more help. But oh my God, I missed them so much. Yeah. But I think I haven't done Edinburgh for a long time, so you're thrown into this routine. I think it's different when, like, maybe if I'd gone away, I don't know, something fun, but Edinburgh's not fun. Well, It wasn't for me at the beginning. It got better. But I was crying on the phone to them. And like you say, when we were reunited, I felt like I was reunited with lovers.
Yeah, it does feel like when I left her at nursery for the first time, and I was like bereft. I was just like, I can't, like, what, like, it's like, it's like
every day for the rest of my life. Yeah,
it's mad. And that, like, I feel bad because, like, Bobby is really good with her. Like, he does know, like, all the routine, and, like, he is really good at, like, being supportive of, like, we both wanted to do our careers and also like live a nice life and do fun things, and he's really like, go off and do this and do that, and like he knows everything. It's just it's not him, it's me. Like, I'm the one that's just like, I know better, and it's like a false confidence that I do, because in some ways he knows better. It's like a thing that I just can't let go of, that somebody else will spot something or know what's wrong. That's
it. Try and let it go a little bit, hasn't she? She's got to try and
let it go. Yeah, I'm doing all the things.
When you work out how to do that, let me know.
Okay, great. Okay, so nobody knows. That's the thing. That's what we've discovered. Okay.
Yeah, I must admit, medical stuff, I would, because I'm definitely like, oh my God, we should go to intensive care. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's banged his head or whatever. And my husband is totally like, no, they're fine. So that's why, not to give the EBGBs, when I had 3 missed calls from him and I was in Camden at a gig, I knew it had to be something bad. And he was like, just to say, everything's fine, but I have called an ambulance.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay. He's like, it was just when we were doing his reading, and his breath was laboured and it was getting worse and worse. Cut long story short, it was croup. But he does have slight asthma, and I thought, you know, like, I'd given him some Calpol or something before I left, and I was like, I'm sure there's something about Calpol and asthma, like, you've got to be careful. I was like, oh my God, it's my fault. And just being so far away, I know I wasn't as far away as you, but that journey felt like forever to come back. And luckily, the ambulance that came, when it got to our house, it broke down. So they had to wait for another one to come. But because of that, I was then home in time to travel with him.
Yeah.
And he was so happy. And he was much better. By the time I got there, he was fine. But just enjoyed a ride in the ambulance. And when we got there, they give you them steroids, and then they're bouncing off the walls. And it's fine.
You're listening to the Funny Mummies podcast, the mum meetup you don't have to get dressed for.
Is there anybody? What's it like with your mum and stuff? Like,
she's really good. Like, I think with her it is like, oh, she knows more than me. You know what I mean? And so like that is somebody that I really can relax with. And we have really good babysitters now. That it's not that anyone's not really good. Yeah. It's just me. It's just like, they're better than me. You know what I mean? Like, the babysitter's trained to be a human rights lawyer. Like, she's on it. Like, I'm not on it. But I guess if I'm doing all the things and I am living a life, and like, I feel so lucky to have both, but it's just a mental thing, isn't it? It's just hard to not be terrified.
Harriet, so do you mainly use? So you've got your regulars now, though.
Yeah, we got some regulars. Yeah, so it's really good.
How many regulars?
We've got like 4 regulars because we're out like.
But that's a good idea.
A lot,
then you've always got backup.
Yeah, and so I wanted. It's like, it was a point when I was like, oh, maybe we should get someone permanent. But then, because it's so frequent that we need to leave for like a few hours, that if we had a few different people that knew the routine, it felt like that would be like a safer thing.
Would you consider a live-in
au pair or nanny or whatever they call it?
No,
because you want one living with you.
I just feel like it would be too awkward between the things that, like, when they were working and then when they weren't working, and like I wouldn't want them to feel like, I don't know, to handle it, I think. And also it's like only for like a few hours every day really that we need, like.
But in your, like, because you do a lot of TV and stuff as well, do you find, like, because other guests we've had on here that work in TV have found that, like, they've had to have a nanny, particularly Holly Walsted, because you don't know when you're going to finish.
Yeah, well, it would be so good, but I think the cost is just a bit too high for us. But I'm really lucky. Like, my mum has come to things, like she's come to like Glasgow and stuff, and my sister came once and sat in a green room with Mabel. So it's all okay. Yeah.
And she where did you go recently? Where you flew off somewhere and there was pictures of your mum and that all on the plane? Was that just a holiday? I thought that was that a working thing?
Did you have a wedding?
Did I have a wedding?
No, I'm stalking you.
Have you ever been to a wedding?
I have been to a wedding, yeah. Well, that was one thing. I took Mabel for 24 hours to Santorini. which for this trip that was
sounds like a
meant to
film.
be, well, my friend was getting, like my best friend was getting married there, and it was just after Edinburgh, and I had to get back on this certain date, and then I got COVID, so then I had to delay the flight, and then it ended up I could only go for 24 hours, and Bobby was gigging in Europe, and so I had to take her to Santorini, and it was wonderful and hell at the same time. Because we left at like 4 a.m. and then got back the next night at like 2 a.m. and it was just wild.
But it was worth it.
It was worth. It was worth. That's the thing.
yeah,
It was worth
yeah,
it, and we did it, and it was all good. And I think in hindsight, that was a bit much. But I had 2 friends that flew with us that were on the same plane there and back. But yeah, that was a bit.
And she'd been
that was
quite
a bit
good on
much.
planes and stuff, has she?
Yeah, you just have to walk up and down and be like,
Yeah.
dun, like the whole time. Like she doesn't want to sit still in a seat. But
Because she's, how old is she now? So she must be 1.5?
she's 1 and nearly 1.5 in June.
Yeah, so she's walking,
Living her life.
living her life.
Yeah, living her Maywell life around the place. But she's been really good. We from the beginning we were like, we'll just take her places, and then now if we don't have to drag her somewhere and there's a way that we can have her at home, then that's much better for her, I think.
Yeah.
Really, unless we'll be away for a while.
There is a window with newborns, isn't there? Where it's just like
They can come.
walking them around Soho at 11 o'clock at night. Whereas there is that kind of like, actually, I need them for their nap. I need them to be at home at 1 o'clock for their nap. Or
Yes.
She's got a routine now. It's better for her.
That's so true. If only you know that. I guess that's when people do have like a second one, you sort of go, okay, right, actually, newborn, this is the time to get out there.
Here's a little debate that we had in the office. I don't know if I've brought this up here before. I'm now getting to the stage where it's just like, I don't know if I've said this before.
Yeah.
Anyway, so an artist, so we got a show on, and someone turns up with a newborn baby and wants
To watch the show.
To watch the show.
Oh, right.
And it's a bit like, is that okay or not?
This happened in Edinburgh, I think, for a comic.
Yeah.
When they had a baby and the baby cried
It was a big
throughout the show. It was a big thing.
on Twitter. It was a bit of a Twitter
Storm.
I personally think no. Or if the baby is asleep and then the baby wakes up,
You take them out.
or the baby makes a noise, then you leave.
So it's about being
Then
disruptive.
I think that's fine. But I think the disruptiveness,
Right.
like nobody can enjoy it if there's a screaming baby.
It's like if a person starts screaming, you wouldn't.
That's true. What if they're asleep?
I kind of think if the baby's asleep, fine. But like, it's really hard to trust the person to be responsible. That
That's
if
the
the
thing,
baby,
isn't it?
and if they bought a ticket, then you're like, you feel bad that they're going to have to. But like, if the baby cries or makes a disturbance, then they have to leave. Like with any audience member,
Yeah.
like last night, some people like just started kicking off, and then they had to leave because they were being disruptive.
Yeah.
And like, you can't blame the baby, but it ruins it for everyone, you know.
Yeah,
and it's too
it's-
distracting as a performer. Like, you
I was
can't
going to
focus
say
if-
because, do you think you'd be distracted because it's just like, oh, they could cry at any moment, or is it I'm talking about dicks and
if it's a baby, they
whatever.
don't know what's happening.
No,
Yeah,
they don't
I
know.
yeah?
think
So
that-
that's
yeah,
not, it's not
I'd be
that.
fine with
I guess,
that, yeah.
I guess with screaming with laughter, you're talking about dicks.
Well,
and stuff,
it's a
aren't
good
Yeah.
job. There is clubs like Scream with Laughter.
Tell us more about that.
Which there wasn't, but it's coming back 24th of May at the Bevan Baron is our comeback. And so, yeah, of course, that's why we say the baby's not to be any older than 13, 14 months because so you can talk about whatever you like. And obviously our thing is if the baby starts crying, you don't have to leave the room. Try and
And
bob
you can
up.
feed or whatever.
Feed, bob 'em up and
Yeah,
down.
everybody knows what's happening there.
Yeah,
But-
yeah,
so,
okay.
yeah,
So there's
everyone knows.
expectations.
But
yeah.
as we know, babies do set off other babies. So sometimes I do. It's only probably happened twice in the whole 6-7 years where there's been people I'm like, yeah, I think you really do need to take them out now.
like proper
Yeah.
out of breath screamers.
yeah, and the poor act is just like, whoa, even. Some of our acts that have never done before come off feeling a bit dizzy almost because it's like they're trying to pat your head and rub your tummy. If you've not done
Yeah.
it before, you
Yeah.
feel like. When you did it, was that the first? No, that wasn't the first time.
I think I've maybe done it twice, but I do find it really hard. I think that I'm not very good with like other noises or
Lots
other
of things
things going
going-
on,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
focus. And so for me, it's just like there's a baby crying, there's a baby crying, there's a baby crying, and then it's very hard to like
Yeah.
just be like silly and fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm not the best act for it, I think.
What you said about tuning into crying. Maybe I should get my apps, those loop earplug things, and they can just be like, ba, 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 and then I can't hear them. But more than often,
I'd like that. When
all
there's
the time
no babies
anyway.
in the room.
Yeah.
Just being out and about.
More than often, they are generally, if you're listening, you want to come, they don't cry, you know. They're quite happy, all the lights and blah, 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 get a few cry. But yeah, well, what was the general consensus at your theatre then, Gemma, for the baby
It was
coming
really
in?
divided because I was a bit like, you know, obviously with the disruptive thing, you know, if they become disruptive, like, so sit them near the door. If they become disruptive, then,
Kick them out.
for me, it's just like that could be, get out your violins, that could be a single mum who has been looking forward to seeing this artist for ages and they have no childcare.
Yeah.
You know, for example, and you sort of think, oh God, you know, but
Yes.
so that's where I came from.
But I would say
disruptions,
I
you
wouldn't
know.
be able to relax and enjoy something if my baby was crying. And so
Yes,
if the baby is
Yes.
crying, then
Yeah.
you leave. But it's so unfortunate, if you
Yeah.
spend that money and you're a single mom and you want to watch it,
So
it
if
is.
you're doing a show, Harriet, and someone walked in with a baby, would it make you go, God, a little bit?
Yeah, because you don't know about the person. Like most people would be very responsible. It's like a wedding or a funeral or whatever. Like if a baby cries, like I personally think you take the baby out.
Funeral.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think you take them out because
Yeah.
otherwise it's like for me, like I have dyspraxia. It's hard for me to focus like if that's
Right.
happening, and so that's what I'd do. And that's what I would want my audience to do. But
Would you
I
say
do get
something?
that.
I'd be sort of tempted. When I was doing the worry draw, if someone came in with a baby, I think I'd try and say, just say, it's all cool, but if they do start crying, are you all right to take them out? Because there's some sensitive bits in the show and it's going to ruin the flow.
Well, it's not going to be fun. It's
but
not going to be
that- but
funny
that
or have an
sounds-
atmosphere.
that sounds
maybe.
absolutely
Yeah.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Or I'll get someone else to say it, I guess. Yeah, not me. Because then they're hating me from the beginning.
Yeah.
But no.
It is difficult. Top Secret has like a glass partition thing. I wonder if like something like that would be a good way
Do
of doing
they?
it.
Where?
Downstairs now they've set it up, and so people at the bar can watch the comedy. But I think it's not completely soundproof. I think, but like
Right.
something like that. I mean, I guess you wouldn't still be kind of involved, but you can hear what's happening. Oh, but I guess if you can hear what's happening on stage, then they can hear. So maybe it's just it doesn't make a difference. I don't know.
No.
Wait, I haven't really thought about that.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what the answer then is. I think yeah, I'm a bit torn. But there are so many plays and shows now that do
Relaxed
performances
yeah.
and stuff like that. But
See,
But
I want
no,
I want
yeah.
the opposite of relaxed performance. Whatever the opposite of relaxed
Highly
performance.
strung,
very
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 stressed.
strict. Complete silence.
Yeah, complete silence. Gosh. But I mean, you couldn't take a baby to something like Kim Noble's show at Soho. Could you imagine that? Like,
I mean, if you are doing that, then I would question whether.
your sanity. Is there anything you'd like to promote that's coming up? Are you doing? Oh, quickly! I didn't watch Mastermind,
I haven't watched it yet.
and I was meant. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. I don't know what your specialist subject was, but I got. What did I do with it? Here, have I got it? So, and I was like, I just saw the list of subjects. And I was like, where is it? Okay, so was her specialist subject, Gemma?
Oh, yeah, come on. Okay.
Was it James Bond themes, sloths, Sir David Attenborough, and Hattie McDaniel? Which was Harriet's specialist subject?
It's got to be sloths.
Slots.
I mean, how many questions did they get out of that?
Wow.
It was absolute chaos. I studied for it so hard. Okay, I've never worked harder for something in my life. And then I got there and it was like so because I was like, every time I go on these shows, I look so stupid. And I was like, I feel like. And Helen Bauer, I did a show with her, and she was like, "You're letting women down everywhere." And I was like, I can't do anything about general knowledge. It's too late for that. I can only work on my specialist subject. So I just studied it. And then I got there and it was like so intimidating, and it's really cold and there's like all these lights and it's so serious, and I was like losing my mind. And I was like, okay, Harriet, you have to come and sit on the chair. And I was like, okay, you had to say your name, your subject and your charity. So I was doing choose love, and so I was like, right, so I sat down. They're like, what's your name? I was like, Harriet Kemsley. They're like, what's your job? I was like, comedian. They're like, what's your charity? And I said, sloth. No, you got it wrong. You got to start again. And then I was like, oh my God, this is the start of it. And then it was all downhill from there.
How did you come up with that subject?
Yeah.
Oh God, I loved sloths. So I really like that they're magical. And me and Bobby saw some in Costa Rica, and I cried because they were just like so amazing. And then I studied it, and like, everything I loved about them wasn't true. It turns out like they're actually quite vicious.
Their claws look vicious.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was quite random, like because I wanted to do the American Office, and then Rhys James did it, and so I couldn't do it. And then they were like, just send a list of things you're kind of interested in. So I sent this random list of like Dolly Parton, sloths, like, and then they came back with sloths, and I was like, okay, let's go. And it was like a load of Latin names and like bugs.
Genus,
Like, exactly. Yeah.
And where did you come? Who won?
No.
Oh, has it
gonna
not been
watch it.
aired yet?
Don't ruin it. Yeah, no, it has aired. It has aired.
All right,
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it on the way home.
Oh, that's perfect. Makes everyone watch it.
I will say that my new nemesis is Gary from EastEnders, because he was also on Pointless with me. And
It feels like a bad luck charm.
Gary from EastEnders.
remember Gary and Minty.
Gary, who was
Who's
married to
knowing-
Lynn.
Who's now in Call the Midwife?
Is he?
No, I'm thinking of the wrong one.
I mean, you've got a higher profile than him.
But not Brain.
Oh no, that's not who I'm thinking of. Them. I don't. Oh, yeah. I can't think who he is. Google him, everybody.
He's funny and he's a really nice guy, but yeah, he's my new nemesis. And
Oh no! So if you're doing a quiz show
Yeah.
and he's there, you're like, no.
yeah.
Just imagine them in the booking room. Right. So we've got Gary from EastEnders. Who
Comes with.
Who sits well along that
That's an
sort
alphabet thing.
of
Yeah, there we go. That's what it is.
Right. So you're working on a new show, aren't you? On a stand-up show.
So I just filmed like my first ever like special. So hopefully it's going to come out soon. So on my Instagram or whatever at Harriet Kemsley.
With-
say.
Who's it? Where's
So I
it
did
gonna
it
be
with 800 Pound
Gorilla.
Gorilla, and then they'll look to sell it, and if not, it'll be on like YouTube or something. So
I'm sure it'll be on Prime or something, won't it?
I don't know. I mean,
be on bloody
YouTube is
BBC One.
great. That's
BBC
the
One.
thing.
That's true.
Yeah,
YouTube
like,
is
some of the top specials like last year were from YouTube. It's great.
Yeah, I
who
hear
knows?
we've got this podcast. I've put it on there, and I didn't put it on there last month, and I sort of forget. I've got to get into the routine because
Is it being filmed?
Because no, we're not being filmed.
Wait, I was
She
just
looked to her right.
That
is
would
it
be
behind
so.
those trees? There's
That'd be
a
so
lot of cameras.
weird.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not comfortable being filmed. It's like, oh, that's awful.
They are working on the cameras in this studio, but no, you can just put on. It's
Oh, the audio, yeah,
it's
yeah.
the second most listened to for podcasts is YouTube.
Mm.
So I'm just put it up there, and I put a nice picture of a sloth or something.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, anything you want to brag about, or
Not
someone
really.
else? No,
I feel stressed talking about this cry it out thing because I didn't want to do it, and so, but it did work is the thing. And when I just can't stop thinking about it now. You said it, and then when you said about them crying, but
What, you're doing that thing of feeling guilty now?
Yeah.
Worrying people will listen and go,
and then go,
she's
she's
evil."
terrible mum. But it was that she was just waking up every hour, and then it did work. But I was always like, no, never, and then it did work.
It's just whatever works.
Yeah, this is
Whatever works.
non-judgmental.
Yeah, if
place.
it had been more than 3 days and she was just crying, then I wouldn't have done
I do
it. But
think a little bit. We did a little bit of it, but like we would, because we was doing Gina Ford, and because I quite liked a lot of her thinking, but I didn't take all of it on. But we literally would go, oh, he's crying. We'd go in, do the thing of like
that's
rubbing
we'd go
their
back
back
in every few
settle.
minutes, and do that.
and it was like hard work, but it did eventually work.
Yeah.
and I can't see what else works. Like honestly,
So I still had a 5-year-old in my bed. Do you know? So that is the alternative.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a kid that won't go to sleep.
But then
or
saying
stay
that,
asleep.
I never did any co-sleeping, and they started sleeping in my bed at 5. So I'm good.
But what do you do when you're like out at night when he needs to go to bed? He'll go to bed and then you'll join, or that's what you do.
Like if someone was
what-
looking after him, she
Oh,
means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he'd exactly. So just
He'd know you becoming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd be there with his
Exactly.
watch.
What do you call this? Exactly. In the middle of the bed, and then wonder why my marriage didn't work out.
Oh God, that's another topic for next time. Your marriage and all that, all right?
It's all right.
Well, I don't know.
You want to tell us about your personal?
We'll
we
do
need
that.
a longer podcast.
We'll do that for part 2.
yeah.
It's a strain on the relationship, kids are, but make sure you have your date nights and all that, or date days. And what me and Alex have just worked out, we're not going to see each other. He's out nearly every night, or I am, until sort of Sunday or something. I was like, right, I must make sure we're booking a breakfast together or a lunch together.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
I mean, I don't, because what ends up happening, and he goes, I'm really busy, I've got to finish this thing. Coming up to... But, you know, got to try. Okay, Harriet, thank you so much for coming on.
For having me.
Thank you, Gemma, as always. And thank you to you for listening. And do tell more people. The more people that listen to this and subscribe, the more people listen, it goes up. And that's it goes up somewhere.
It goes up.
It goes up, and then we're on this thing now where, like, the more people that listen, we'll start getting some bloody revenue, and then I can pay Harriet's babysitting when she comes back.
Just to be clear, just to be a bit serious, but that's the dream. We want to be able to pay for the childcare of our guests.
You've been listening to the Funny Mummies podcast with me, Hatty Ashdown. Thank you to my panel and guests today. Edited and produced by Scott Kingsnorth in association with Screaming with Laughter, the lunchtime comedy club where babies can come too. These shows go out live on Soho Radio for the Other Woman show. See schedule for details. Please subscribe, rate and review and share this podcast. We really appreciate it, and it's the only way more people can find us. So see you next time for more Mum and Tonic.